The Polikarpov I-153 Chaika was a late 1930s Soviet biplane fighter, developed as an advanced version of the I-15 with a retractable undercarriage. The I-153 fought in the Soviet-Japanese combats in Mongolia and was one of the Soviets' major fighter types in the early years of the Second World War. Several I-153s are still flying. Design and development. In 1937, the Polikarpov Design Bureau carried out studies to improve on the performance of its I-15 and I-15bis biplane fighters without sacrificing maneuverability, as Soviet tactical doctrine was based on a mix of high-performance monoplane fighters and agile biplanes. Early combat experience from the Spanish Civil War had shown that the I-16 had problems dealing with the Fiat CR-32 biplanes used by the Italian forces supporting the nationalists, which suggested a need to continue the use of biplane fighters, and as a result, Polikarpov's proposals were accepted, and his design bureau was instructed to design a new biplane fighter. Polikarpov assigned the task to the design team led by Alexei Sherbakov, who was assisted by Artem Mikoyan and Mikhail Gurevich. The new fighter was based closely on the design of the I-15bis with a stronger structure, but was fitted with a manually retractable undercarriage to reduce drag. It reverted to the gulled upper wing of the original I-15 but used the Clark YH aerofoil of the I-15bis. The four 7.62mm PV-1 machine guns of the I-15bis were replaced by Forschkass machine guns. While still rifle-caliber weapons, these fired much faster than the PV-1s, giving a much greater weight of fire. The new fighter was to be powered by a Shvetsov M62, an improved derivative of the Shvetsov M25 that powered the I-15 and I-15bis with twin superchargers. The aircraft was of mixed metal and wood construction, with the fuselage structure being based on chromium molybdenum steel with duralumin skinning on the forward fuselage, and fabric covering on the fuselage aft of the front of the cockpit. The aircraft's wings were made of fabric-covered wood, while the tail surfaces were of fabric-covered duralumin. The aircraft was fitted with a tailwheel undercarriage, with the main wheels retracting rearwards, rotating through 90 degrees to lie flat in the wing roots, being actuated by cables operated by a pilot-driven handwheel. The solid rubber tailwheel did not retract but moved in conjunction with the rudder. The M62 was not ready by the time the first prototype was complete, so it was fitted with a 750 horsepower M25V engine when it made its maiden flight in August 1938. The first prototype failed factory testing due to numerous defects, but this did not stop production, with the aircraft entering production concurrently with ongoing testing and development. Early production I-153s powered by the M25 engine passed state testing during 1939, despite the loss of one aircraft which disintegrated in a 500 km/h dive. In test flights, the I-153 achieved the top speed of 424 km/h, service ceiling of 8,700 meters, and required 6 minutes 24 seconds to reach 5,000 meters. This performance was well in excess of that demonstrated by the I-15bis. During 1939, production switched to a version powered by the originally planned M62 engine, with an M62-powered prototype undergoing state testing from the 16th of June 1939. While speed at sea level was virtually unchanged, the new engine improved performance at altitude. A speed of 443 km per hour at 4,600 meters was recorded, with a service ceiling of 9,800 meters. This performance was disappointing and caused the aircraft to fail the state acceptance trials, although this did not disrupt production. While it was recognized that the I-153's performance was inadequate, the overriding requirement was to not disrupt production until more advanced fighters could enter production. While numerous improvements were proposed, many were too radical to be implemented since the aircraft was already in production. Desperate to improve performance, Polikarpov tested two I-153 with the Shvetsov M63 engine with 820 kilowatts. However, the results were disappointing, and it was becoming painfully obvious that the biplane airframe was incapable of higher speeds. One of the rarely mentioned characteristics of the I-153 was its poor performance in a spin. While the Polikarpov I-16 had gained notoriety for entering spins, pilots found it easy to recover from a spin. In contrast, while the I-153 was difficult to spin, once it lost control, recovery was difficult to the point where intentional spinning was forbidden for some time. A spin recovery procedure was eventually developed, but, while effective, it required flawless timing and execution. By the end of production in 1941, a total of 3,437 I-153s were built. Operational history. The I-153 first saw combat in 1939 during the Soviet-Japanese Battle of Kharkangol in Mongolia. The Japanese Army Air Force's Type 97 fighter Nate proved a formidable opponent for the I-15 bis and I-16, but was more evenly matched with the I-153, which retained agility inherent to biplanes while featuring improved performance. While the overall I-153 performance was satisfactory, some significant problems were revealed. Most troublesome was the absence of a firewall between the fuel tank mounted in front of the cockpit and the pilot, combined with strong draft coming in through the wheel wells. Fuel tank fires invariably resulted in rapid engulfment of the cockpit and severe burns to the pilot. In addition, the M62 engine suffered from a service life of only 60 to 80 hours due to failures of the two-speed supercharger. Stalin's purges in the 1930s resulted in a tremendous lag in Soviet aircraft at the beginning of World War II. Although the new Yak-1 and Lag-3 fighters were entering production on the 22nd of June 1941, the bulk of VVS was equipped with the obsolete 1930s designs, including a large number of I-153. Even as late as 1942, there were attempts to reinstate production of I-153 and I-16 to fill the shortage of fighter aircraft. The Polikarpov I-153 Chaika never flew with any Spanish Air Force units during or after the Spanish Civil War. Two earlier variants of this aircraft, the I-15 and the I-15 bis, did fly with the Republican Air Force during the conflict, and, later, captured examples of both types were used by the Fuerzas Aéreas till the early 1950s. Variants. While attempts to improve performance proved largely fruitless, Polikarpov had some success in upgrading the armament. The I-153 series underwent trials with two synchronized 12.7 mm TKB-150 machine guns, and about 150 aircraft were built with a single TKB-150 in the fuselage and two Chakas in the wings. Late in in production. About 400 aircraft were modified with metal plates under the wings to accommodate RS-82 unguided rockets. Other variants included I-153DM. On an experimental basis, the I-153DM was flown with gasoline-burning ramjet engines under the wings. -2 German Marks engines increased the top speed by 30 km/h, while more powerful -4 German Marks engines added as much as 50 km/h. A total of 74 flights were undertaken. I-153P, two synchronized 20mm Schwack cannons. Added firepower was offset by the increase in weight and tendency of gunpowder to foul the windscreen. I-153SH and USH ground attack versions with underwing containers with Chaika machine guns and 2.5 kg bombs. I-153V, a single aircraft fitted with the definitive Chaika minimum leak pressure cabin. I-153V TKGK cabin, high-altitude version with a turbocharged engine and a pressurized cockpit, top speed of 482 km/h at 10,300 meters, 26 built for air defense. I-153UD, rear fuselage completed as a wooden monocoque rather than fabric-covered steel and wooden frame to save metal, did not enter production. 50 I-153 were equipped with larger oil tanks and plumbed to accept external fuel tanks under the wings, which doubled the combat range. These were primarily used by the Soviet Navy. I-190 experimental version powered by an 820 kW M88V radial piston engine with 2 Schwack cannon and 4 Chaika machine guns. First flight the 30th of December 1939 but crashed the 13th of February 1941 on variant discontinued. I-190GK cabin, the second I-190 prototype completed with a pressure cabin and turbocharged M90 engine fitted with a ducted spinner. I-195 strengthened I-190 with enclosed unpressurized cockpit, powered by an M90 with a ducted spinner and identical armament to the I-190. The prototype was not completed. Survivors. In the early 1990s, New Zealand pilot and entrepreneur Tim Wallace's Alpine Fighter collection organized the restoration of 3 I-153s and 6 I-16s to an airworthy condition. This project being completed in 1999 as the third and final I-153 arrived in New Zealand. These aircraft were equipped with AZSH-62IR geared radials instead of the M62, which were non-geared. The reason is that AZSH-62IR is just a version of M62, with absolute equality in all instead of a frontal gearbox and weapon synchronizer absence. Also, none of original engines from recovered wrecks could have been brought to life. Airworthy Red 10, RA1562G, Private Owner, Russia. White 75, Spain. Red 16, N153RP, Military Aviation Museum, Virginia, USA. In New Zealand, 1 Chaika flying today. Under restoration. Red 9, Musée de l'Air, Paris, France, being restored by the Memorial Flight Association. This is the only fully original I-153 known to exist. Operators: China, Chinese Nationalist Air Force. Finland, Finnish Air Force operated 21 captured aircraft, 11 of which were bought from Germany, of which 10 were actually delivered. They flew with the serial numbers IT-11 to IT-31. In Finnish service, FAF pilots claimed at least 5 kills in I-153s against the Soviets. Germany, Luftwaffe operated captured aircraft. Soviet Union, Soviet Air Force. Soviet Naval Aviation. Specifications. Data from of Chaika and Chateau. Polikarpov's fighting biplanes. General characteristics. Crew 1. Length 6.17 meters. Wingspan 10.00 meters. Height 2.80 meters. Wing area 22.14 square meters. Empty weight 1,452 kilograms. Loaded weight 1,960 kilograms. Max takeoff weight 2,110 kilograms. Power plant 1 times Schwitzov M62 radial engine 597 kilowatts. Performance maximum speed 444 kilometers per hour at 4,600 meters. Cruise speed 297 kilometers per hour at 2,000 meters. Range 470 kilometers. Service ceiling 10,700 meters. Rate of climb 15 meters per second. Climb to 1,000 meters 0.85 minutes. Climb to 7,000 meters 8.3 minutes. Armament guns 4 times 7.62 times 54 mm Arshkas machine guns, 2,600 rounds of ammunition total.